Whakataka te halo ki te uru, whakataka te halo ki te tonga, kia mā kina kina ki te tia, kia mā taratara ki tai, e ake ana te atarura, e tio, he huka, he hauhua, tihei maori ora. Ora. Just a little bit of housekeeping first up. If we need to evacuate the building, follow staff direction out that way and take us to the evacuation meeting point. Toilets are just out the door here. And as I already said, the meeting is being live streamed. So just be wary of that when you're speaking. First item on today's agenda is apologies, and we have not received any. We'll jump to item 3, which is declarations of interest. I haven't received any, but if something does come up, do let us know. Item 4, confirmation of previous minutes. We have a mover and a seconder for those. Pauline moved, Jake seconded. Put that motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
That's carried. We'll move now on to the public forum. First up today, we hear from Redora from Birthright Canterbury Trust. Welcome, Redora.
Thank you.
So you do have 5 minutes to speak to us today.
My name is Rodora, and I'm also with, hello. So, Tina Koto Katoa, my name is Rodora, and we have Cynthia as well to talk about Birthright today. So we have a video, 2-minute video, and then Cynthia will share her experience working alongside Birthright. And if there's any more time, we can have some question and answer. Thank you.
Our family is myself and my daughter Isabella, she's 10 years old, and our cat, Maya, and we played together. I've been working with Birthright for a few months now. They're lovely people, really supportive.
Well, there's me and my daughter and my son. My daughter is 13 and my son is 8. We've been with Birthright for 2.5, maybe 3 years now. My home visits have been really good. She's always been real supportive, directed me in the right direction. So if I've needed counselling or support in other areas where she hasn't been able to help me, she's done that for me.
It's just a way of having access to other people in a similar situation and knowing what services are available to a single mum. We've had access to food parcels when money's been pretty tight, and also in this last school holidays, they've had an activity at Clifton Climb, so my daughter loved that. And then of course this camp, which is just amazing.
I especially love the holiday parks, the camps here for my son, because he gets a chance of like a real childhood. But he can just take off with his friends. He knows where I am, I know where he is. They can just go and play, they come back when they want to be fed, and they go off again. I've met some really good other parents and made some lifelong friends. There's people from last year's Spencer Park camp that I still go and see on a regular basis.
Yeah, it's just knowing what's out there is most important, and be able to know where to go to call and help when it's needed.
There's always something going on with Birthright that involves families and children, people from the same background. So it's always fun.
Kia ora, my name is Cynthia, and I've been with Birthright since 2020. We're going on 3 years this year in June. Being engaged with Birthright was a great opportunity. I've got 5 children. I always felt that there wasn't enough help for us out there, and especially cost of living, fees, school shoes and everything like that. What was the other thing? And out going to do sports and things, always felt like it was a big struggle. And for me as a parent, I kind of felt like I was at home trying to struggle with trying to get something out there for my children and I. So Birthright came in with open arms and just gave the support that we needed. especially when we needed it. Every year, at the end of the year, you think you're having a great time until you realise you don't have enough money, and then there's Christmas presents, school fees coming after that, cost of uniform, and there's a lot of things that come into that, and then birthdays. So birthright's been there so hugely for me and my family. I've just learned so much. I had so much support, and going out there and being around other parents that are like me, and talking to them and going to groups, and just knowing that birthright is always there for us. And for me, my family, they'd ring us and email us, even come to my home and make those visits. And the kids are now thriving with sports. I think putting them in sports is keeping them off the streets. So my kids are very busy in sports because of birthright. I think it's really important that kids are in sports and everything with the help of birthright. It's helped us so much as a family. We'll never forget that sport, because my time's up this year in June, and they have pushed me also to get out there and be a mother who I'm going to go back to university, studying mother. Just where I went on to something I really like to do in university, and hopefully get a really good job out of it, and support my kids. Their financial situation. At the moment, I'm not in that situation at the moment, but I always say that birthright's there, and it will help so many other families, not just me. So yeah, I've come such a long way to be where I am now. I'm sorry, I'm really nervous. I've never done public appearance before.
Can't
We're
help.
like, oh,
Can't help.
oh gosh. But yeah, it benefits for so many family members like me.
Thank you so much. So if we have any more time, we can ask, you can ask questions and we could answer.
We'll probably have time for one quick question if anyone's got one. No? Oh, Victoria.
Other than financial grants, how can the public help you? How can everyday people help you to do your work better?
So they can support us through their time, being volunteer, but also financial support to be able to support the families, Cynthia and her tamariki.
You mentioned your time was nearly up with your time with Birthright. Do you have a set period where you work with any one family? What is that period?
So we work up to 3 years before, but because we have a very long waiting list, we tried and make a solution of, okay, could we make it 2 years? So up to 2 years, if the parent or families are engaging, then we work with them. Or if not, if they don't need that long, so we would they would graduate from Birthright. But also, even someone's time is up, if at that point they're not ready yet, or there's still some barriers to fully participate in the community, then we would still work with them.
What's your waiting list like?
About 40.
Yeah, there's obviously a need for your help out there. Thank you very much for coming on today, and Cynthia, thank you for sharing your story, and that's really encouraging, and well done for everything you've achieved.
Thank
I'd
you.
just like to say one thing. If it wasn't for Birthright as well, they actually helped my twins get into St. Bede's. So that's really great.
We have another public forum today from Jennifer Dalzell. So come on up, Jenny. And I know you know the drill, 5 minutes. And I'm just a reminder you to not repeat what you have already presented to the board in the past.
Okay,
Yes.
I don't think I've presented this in the past. I'm here today to talk just very briefly about the walkabout that you did recently, and you went to 10 Shirley Road, which is the site of the Shirley Community Centre. And I think you were given some information there that might not have been quite right. I think that you were told that the community is split 50-50 for people who want a new community centre and people who don't. And that was based on the last consultation that was done by the council in September 2020. Well, I've brought along the actual consultation. I just want to quickly run through it and tell you what exactly did happen. And so I think it's in front of you. So at the beginning, this was what was given out to people. It was this thing like this, and it had the questions in it. And so, and that's on the beginning. Oh, can you just go back to the beginning? Right, so it says the community board is committed to advocate for funding. And then in the next paragraph down, it says we are asking again because we recognise the community landscape has changed considerably, especially over the last 2 to 3 years. Well, that was never made clear how the community landscape had changed. And so 3 years is September 2017 to September 20. So I don't know how the community landscape changed, particularly in those years. So that was a little ambiguity. And then in the next paragraph, it says the council's financial situation means that funding isn't available and that the board wants to find new ways of doing things that are innovative and look at alternative funding options and possible partnerships. And then on the last page, the next page over, which is the last page of that, it says over the last 10 years, several locally managed community facilities have emerged. And I've tried to think what any new community facilities actually were. Like the ones that emerged were ones that were rebuilt after the earthquake, and the only new ones were a privately owned dance studio on Aitchison Avenue and the room at Avon Sports Hub on North Parade. They were the only new community facilities that were actually added. Anything that emerged was a rebuild of something that was there before. Okay, so that's, and then the next thing that happened was on September the 24th, and that's this Norwest News article. Emma wrote an article in the Norwest News, as she does, and basically it's just a reiteration of everything that was on the front page of this, which we just talked about. But then in the last sentence, last paragraph, she says, people can have their say on the Shirley Road space, particularly offering innovative ideas that do not require the construction of extensive built infrastructure on the site. So what that's actually saying is don't ask for any buildings. So basically, before anyone had even started their consultation, they were told, their submission, they were told there's no money, we want new ideas, we don't want the old ideas, there are lots of other facilities, and we don't want to build anything. So, okay, so that's what the community were told before they did their submissions. And so there were 58 submissions. Now I'm looking, the submissions are all in that package that I've given you. And then the staff did their kind of analysis of the submissions. And on the first page, it says there were 58 submissions, okay? And so then on page 3 of their analysis, it says, we received 29 submissions supporting the replacement of the community centre at this location. So in spite of being told not to want a community centre, 29 people said they did. But I've actually been through all the submissions and counted them up, and actually 36 people said they wanted a community centre. I've included 2 that were a bit ambiguous. One was one from Frida Inter where she put C attached and there's nothing after her name. And I've asked her what she attached and she said she wanted a community centre. And another one where the person said they wanted a fungible community space. And fungible means something that's able to be used for that has multiple uses. So I've included them in the 36. So that's 36 out of 58 said they wanted a new community centre. There were 8 people that specifically said they didn't want a new community centre. Of those 8, 5 were committee members of the Richmond Residents and Business Association. Now, the Richmond Residents and Business Association opposes a new community centre at 10 Shirley Road because they are based at Avebury House. And they want everything that happens in that area to go through Avebury House. And another person that opposed it was the manager of Delta. And at that time, Delta and Avebury were very concerned that if there was a new community facility at 10 Shirley Road, they would lose a lot of their funding because they were being funded for providing amenities to the area that did not have a community centre. So, so that left 14 people that suggested various other things, like walking tracks and flower gardens and permaculture things. And one of them suggested a scented garden. And I asked that person, why did you suggest a scented garden? And she said, because the community board, the council have made it quite obvious that they're not going to rebuild a community centre. So how many of the other 14 said these random things because they've been told not to say a community centre? But in spite of all that, the bulk of the submitters want a community centre. So the community is not split. We've had a 1,200 signature submission, a petition. The residents of Shirley want a new community centre. And like recently there've been activations of the site, and there were 2 earlier on. One was for preschoolers and one was a holiday program for school-aged children. Both of these were complete failures. And the reason for that is preschoolers are really adequately catered for in that area. There's so many kindergartens and daycare centres and play centres. They don't need any help.
Sorry, Jennifer, I'm going to have to cut you off.
Okay.
You've gone over 5 minutes.
Okay.
Thank you for taking the time to come and present.
Okay. So can anyone ask any questions?
No, we've gone over the time.
Oh, wow. Okay.
We know where to find you, though, Kim.
Okay. Right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much,
Jennifer.
Was there anyone else wanting to do a public forum today? Vivian, welcome. Thank you.
Tomorrow.
Okay, I will try to use that thing. Today, thank you for having me here today. I just want to report back about the rebuild of the pizza oven, for which we received. Sorry?
It's not pizza.
That is pizza. There is no pineapple on top.
Oh.
We allowed marshmallow.
Oh.
But not pineapple. That was done during our gala day. That was held on the 14th of February. So we thought that a sweet pizza was fitting their purpose. But yeah.
It's oven.
As an abuse.
Yeah, yes. So I just want to report back about the funding that we have received for rebuilding our pizza oven. First of all, thank you so much. And between the 3rd of February and the 18th of February, we demolished the old one and rebuilt the new one. The demolishing phase was included just a handful of volunteers, but also included like a sort of sorting out material, because we were able to reutilize part of the clay and the straw of the layout, external layout, while the internal layout that was bisque fired for them low temperature was smashed and used as compost in the garden. So we didn't throw anything away, and it was amazing. And on the 11th, that happened on the 3rd of February, and between the 11th and the 18th, we rebuilt everything. Carrie Mulligan, lecturer at ARA, helped us in the rebuilding phase. She taught us there was time to connect, talk, they were dancing while we were mixing the clay with the sand. Duncan Webb came. I don't think he learned a lot, but we learned a lot about how to build a pizza oven. And it was really an amazing time, because it was 8 hours each workshop. So we were able to connect, talk, learn a lot, but also creating relationship during the day. 14 volunteers helped in the rebuilding of the pizza oven. The pizza oven is a little bit bigger than the previous one, so we will be able to hopefully cook 2 pizzas at a time. And we also created a different shape. So we wanted to create, I think the idea was to create, to remind the Tautara, yeah. But actually, when we stood in front of it, we thought that it was more similar to a hey, it's a chicken. But yeah, that is the new pizza oven. The pizza oven will be blessed on Thursday, 16th of March. We're going to have a mini whakatau to welcome a new group at the hub, Kiwi Family Trust, and on the same day, we are going to bless the third shed. And the pizza oven. The third shed will have receive the name of Mana Kitanga, and it will be part of the Kotaitanga and Waruatanga area. So all our values are on the outside. And the first firing will be for the community market day on the 18th of March, hopefully, depending on the weather. But so thank you very much for your help. I have to say that for the financial part, we spent less than what you gave us, much less. So I'm happy to return the money, or otherwise I have ideas for something else for the community.
Great. Thank you so much for giving us that update. It's really cool to see where our funding actually went. Have that report back from you. Any questions quickly? I was along there week before last at the vegan night market, saw it. It looks awesome.
Thank you.
Yep, well done.
Well done.
Thank you.
Sort of new volunteers, existing volunteers, what was the sort of mix of people that rocked up to classes?
Some people that from the community, someone that actually we were able to reach while we were doing the community mapping. So it's quite an interesting discovery and it was amazing. And then some people that are connected to other community organizations like Smith Street Community Garden. And then not really the usual ones. It was nice to have more people from the community, and then of course ourselves and the Simon Gray, who was the one that originally donated us the pizza oven. Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cool. Now we have someone else wanting to do a public forum. Yep.
You're up.
Yep. That's okay. Cool. I'll see you to introduce yourself, and then you do it together or separately? Separate. Oh, together. Okay, together.
Yeah, we're together, yeah.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. Kia ora. My name's Unity, and I don't want to be too loud. And this is my fellow neighbour, Marius. We're both residents at 173 Chester Street East. Is this my clicker?
Yes.
Okay, that's very fancy. So not in attendance, but people who are also supportive of this request is Steve Pomeroy, owner of Pomeroy's Little Ponds Flow Wellbeing. Lisa Hanson, she's also got a business running at Unit 5, 173 Hardcore Fitness. So, sorry, which actual clicker is it? Just
I can do it.
it works. Thank you. So our request, we would really like to see the P120 timed parking reinstated for the bays in front of 173 Chester Street East. This applies to the 5 parking bays in front of there. It was prior to the earthquakes, so we're not a new thing. We're just asking for it to be reinstated. And why it's important? Well, non-resident city workers park in these bays all day long before 9 a.m. and well after 5 p.m. That leaves little to no parking for visitors of residents, family, friends, and also business customers. Okay, so unlike other central areas, there is plenty of off-street parking available to residents. All residents at 173 have 2 off-site car spaces available from a garage and carport. And we've looked at most homes and townhouses across the street have a minimum of 2 garage carport spaces off-street as well. So the residents are fairly taken care of. This end of Chester Street East by Fitzgerald Avenue is commercially zoned, and the growth and rebuilding of business will enhance our community. I've just, with my great tech skills, tried to put some arrows and just showed, and I have included at the end of Kilmore Street, because I think we're on the same, so there's even a little access point between Chester Street East and all of those businesses. So a lot of people, you can very clearly tell they're going to flow because they have a little yoga mat and they're walking through. Love the yoga people, I go there. But there's a lot of things now really enriching the community at this end, as you can see. Okay, so we also think that there should be some special consideration for the type of customers that need to park nearby. So I've added a few of the businesses that were in the image before. Flow Wellbeing, Writer Midwives, which is also located there, the Hardcore Fitness at 173 Chester Street East, and my own place, Lily in Langford, which is now Christchurch's only dedicated children's boutique. That does not include franchise stores, chain stores. So that's now us. So the type of customers who are going to all of these places are predominantly pregnant women. They're new mothers. They're often carrying a newborn baby. If they're not heavily pregnant, a newborn baby in a capsule, which they're heavy. Or young mothers, sorry, not young mothers, mothers with young children. So they might have a little 1-year-old. They might have toddlers. I get grandparents in. One had a cane, mobility issues, buying gifts for grandchildren. I've already had one specific complaint from very kindly, but a complaint from one mother who had a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old, had bags, had things she bought, and it was raining really heavily and she had to park down near Chesterfields Park and she didn't really feel safe doing that. I've got young children myself and I know it's really, really hard to wrangle little kids. So I've just here, and I've also shown the Google Maps images from the years they were taken. And this is our building, but prior to the renovations. So the little arrows again indicate the really clear signage of P120 in those bays. On the side in the smaller pictures, it even shows how it extended all the way down to Fitzgerald Avenue. That's not what we're actually requesting. We're just really wanting the 5 bays in front of in front of our businesses. Marius is also a business owner as well at 173. And so again, this is just a few years down the track and I just thought it might, clearly show the parking that was timed. Okay, so to really quickly summarise, there is little to no parking all day long, primarily as a result of non-resident city parkers park there all day and love the city, but it does mean that people are often coming well after 5. So those people who might live there and want to have friends over, because the non-resident city workers are coming, going to work, maybe staying for the social activities and coming in, it's really taking up those spots. And the city workers often park in those bays. They walk in, sometimes they use a Lime scooter, which we're constantly finding discarded on the footpath, a hazard, or across our driveway. They also bring their own bike on the back of their car or a scooter in the boot. And it's a bit of a hike. We're in the 4 avenues, but it's still a little way. So then they bike or scooter the rest of the way in. And have I clicked too far? And I have. Sorry. So we've so both Marius and I have noticed that it is not just one scooter person, it is multiple scooter people, as indicated by the white and red stripes here getting their scooters out. No issue with the individuals, just the actual problem, and then another,
I'm sorry, Unity, I will have to
finish off
here. You've made very clear what the problem is and what the solution is that you'd like to see. So we will note that and we will see what staff can do and hopefully get something back to us to make a decision.
Thank you.
And I have just noted the ticket number. It was initiated by Marius. We've had John come out. We just kind of hopefully want some traction.
Yep, no, we'll pass it on to our traffic staff. And
great presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Right, I believe that brings us to the public forums. No deputations, no petitions, so we will move on to our staff reports. First of which is Barbados Street, Bearley Avenue intersection, proposed no stopping.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah. You can see what happens behind that door. That'll be something good.
Ali thought it was 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
Welcome. Do we have any questions on this one?
Oh, hang on, what are we on?
Yes,
Bye-bye.
actually, this one might have been the one.
You're not Sally.
No, this is not Sally Ann. So we've got on the report Sally Ann Marshall's a traffic
Okay.
engineer.
Hello.
Madam Chair,
Thanks, Sally.
and members of the board, if I can just explain. Unfortunately, Sally's had to go to, unfortunately, she's at a meeting of another board on the other side of town right at the moment, so there's a time clash, so hence I'm here in your place.
All good. We're happy to have you. So John, did you have a question?
Yeah, just so I'm clear, this is, which topic are we on here? The Barbados Bill?
Barbados
Yeah.
Bailey, yep.
Barbados Bill, yeah, I do, sorry. I just have to refer to my notes on the matter. Oh, yeah, sorry, I read the report, and the only things Mike just wanted to ask about were there were some community requests that initiated this, and I'm just curious about the number and depth of those.
Actually, this is a result of a safety audit, and I'm sorry if there's been some confusion about that. Being a formal request, if you look at the diagrams, you can see that there's a very good marked cycle lane and coloured cycle lane coming from the north on Barbados. As the cyclist crosses Bailey Ave, it's just simply that they come into a squeeze point. It's a combination of lack of road space if cars are parked there, and also it's on a very, albeit very subtle, but it's a left. You're veering to the left, and cars tend to come in close to the edge, and there's simply not enough room. Once you get past the point where we're recommending stopping restriction, then the road is lined up, and there is a buffer line between the edge park cars and the traffic lane. So it's just simply to address this, and it was raised as part of a safety audit on cycling in that area.
Okay, thanks for clarifying that.
Right, Jake's happy to move it. I'm happy to second it. Any debate? Put that motion. All those in favour? It is carried.
Apologies, Chair, cock up on the diary front. I'm very
We're now
sorry.
going to jump back to item 2, declaration by our new member. I'll invite John to Sal up to the table to do those formalities.
Oh, this one's here. Thank you.
Did you think you
I ask Peter Jones to declare that I will faithfully and impartially, and according to the best of my skill and judgment, execute and perform in the best interests of the Papanui-Innes-Central community the powers, authorities and duties vested in or imposed upon me as a member of the Waipapa Papanui-Innes-Central Community Board by virtue of the Local Government Act 2002, the Local Government Official Information and Meetings Act 1987, or any other act.
Guys, just like a mortgage. Yeah. Thanks.
Thanks, Ellie, and welcome. Right, we're going to jump back to item 9, Beaver Street removal of P5 loading zone. Welcome, Tony. We'll take the report.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, John. We'll take the report as read. Any questions? The mover, Sunita seconding. Put that motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
It's carried. Done.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tony.
Do you live there?
Oh, you're the next one too. 227 Armour Street, proposed no stopping restrictions. Again, we'll take the report as read. Any questions? No. I'm happy to move this one. Do we have a seconder? Sunita, put that motion. All those in favour? That's carried. And again, Tony, Warwick Street, Vogel Street intersection.
Happy to move.
No questions? No, Jack's moved. Sunita seconded. That motion, all those in favour?
Aye.
That's carried. Okay, quickest 3 reports we ever get. Item 12, new traffic lights, 171 Main North Road, pack and save access.
Slightly larger scale.
Andy, yes, this one has a few more implications than those last.
You're not going to get off
Three?
lightly.
I'll just grab a pen then.
And I will start by handing over to you, Andy. Maybe you want to give a little bit of background on the resource consent decision, or
Yes, I was hoping,
just push the button.
Sorry, Emma, I was just wondering on that if you could maybe, because there's new members that would have, we did discuss it with the board once before and question, you know, these traffic lights all in a row, I've had it answered, so.
Yep.
But you might want to go over there.
I didn't quite hear that, so would you like me to give some background?
Give some background and then we can have some questions.
Thanks, Paul.
We've got blankets.
Are you
Yeah.
well? Yes, I'm all right. I didn't need to.
Sorry, Andy, go ahead.
That's all right. I was hoping the applicant would be here. The actual traffic engineer who gave evidence on behalf of Pack and Save. And he possibly could have taken you through the hearings process, but what in the end, the commissioner gave approval, gave consent for this old factory to be knocked down and turned into a Pack and Save supermarket. Associated with that is a new point of access straight from Main North Road through a new set of signals into the site. There's also almost like a rear access as well that brings you out onto Radius Street as well. This is, and there's other little giveaway access points. As an old factory, it had lots of accesses, so they retained some, and so there's many ways into the site, but the key point of access is the signals. And that's the one that picks up the passing traffic on Main North Road, and that's what they're looking for, is to pick up that passing traffic. So it's been through a road safety audit process. The design that we see in front of us has been through an initial stage, what you call a stage 1 road safety audit through to a detailed design audit. And that included input from our engineers and our signals engineers as well. It wasn't an easy site because it's aging infrastructure up there. We've got the state highway still of QE2 running onto Main North Road. So although the main access is on Main North Road, you'll see that there's actually changes up also on QE2 Northcote Road. And these were done, I'm going to say, I mean, the developer he wasn't required to do those, but we were able to persuade him to do so. Okay, so, and what that involves on the QE2 Main North Road is larger pedestrian refuge islands. It includes raised platforms in order to get to them. So there are some enhancements made to that existing infrastructure up there. We received, and that was done also in consultation with NZTA, and they've given their written approval of the changes that we see here. So the approvals that I'm seeking here are to do with the changes on Main North Road. In a nutshell, it's a set of traffic lights But there's also other things in terms of they needed to break the solid central median that runs down there. There'll be changes to road markings. There's also a relocation of a bus stop from the southern, slightly south of this image that we see up here, further towards the traffic lights. And it's for those the changes in the median and the road markings and the new signage that accompanies those that we're seeking board approval.
We'll go Victoria. Simon.
I just check about Marion College that is going to be coming in just behind that supermarket.
Yes.
So they've been factored in and the expected traffic movements with the school, are they factored into what's going on here?
Yes, they are, yes. And the changes associated, with the crossing going in there, that was part of the big model.
I think the reality is that there'll be a lot of parents that use the supermarket car park as a pick up and drop off zone.
Well, I'm not so sure. It's a bit of a hike from the college,
Really?
Well, but compared to what parents are perhaps used to.
Well, there aren't any alternatives for them.
No.
Thank you.
Simon.
Thank you, Andy. A question in relation to the safety around the new signalised intersection on Main North Road. In the opening of the median strip, I recalled some consideration in the resource consent about the impact on the dental practice.
Yes.
Opposite the driveway.
Yes.
And I just want to check that staff are satisfied with the safety issues associated with vehicles entering and exiting, in particular the dental practice.
It's not. There are other occasions when you've got an unsignalled access coming into a signalled arrangement. It's not ideal. Not ideal. The auditors had considered it, and I believe they've got some signage. They may have even prohibited a turn movement from the dental practice, to somehow address the conflict that would occur by somebody entering an intersection when really they haven't been guided to do so. So it's really. I can think of one down on Colombo Street where the gymnasium comes onto three-arm signalled access. What I've observed is people who are coming out, they give way as they would normally and find a gap and then make the move.
Yeah, and certainly in our area, we've got one on Main North Road, Sawyers Arms Road. There's a similar arrangement, and I'm not aware of issues, but I did want to check about this one. Thank you.
Ellie.
I have a question about the lane that is, so I'm looking at page number 50, and where we've got the lane that is, we've got the new footpath marked on the left, and then there's a lane for the left turning traffic just on the other side of that, on the right-hand side of that footpath. So just there. So the blue line is the new footpath, and then you've got a left turning lane to the right of it.
Yes.
Where is that allowing people to turn to? What's that going into? Is that going into the car park?
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
So if you've got people on the footpath, you've got a bus lane in them. That's a bus lane there to the right of the left turning lane.
Correct. Yes.
Right. So if you've got a bus in there and you've got traffic backed up to the edge of where it tapers, have you considered the congestion along here at all? Is that likely to happen? What does your modelling show you?
Well, it's not my modelling. The modelling was presented by the applicant at the hearing and had been peer reviewed as well. And the commissioner was satisfied that the impacts of the development could be managed within the corridor that's there.
We've all seen that kind of be challenged in our area at the moment. So the other question that I have too is, as far as and this might be outside what this is about, so just tell me, Chair, we've seen this, Pauline and I saw this about 9 years ago out the back of Bunnings, Pauline, with the residents there. with, you know, noises beeping from vehicles backing and brushes and things like that. Is this a part of this discussion as to that? Has that been considered with regards to the residents that live right near these areas? And,
well, look, as it was a notified consent, which meant everybody had the ability to submit their concerns to the commissioner at the hearing. So I can only imagine that if someone was concerned about that.
But even if
but
even if no one was concerned by that, and we've seen this out the back at Bunnings, there were variations made after that was approved, and it's been absolute hell for them there. I mean, what distance are we from homes with vehicles not loading?
Well, in terms of Bunnings, the loading area is quite close to the residential. Yeah. I think that the loading area is much further away. It's much more into the site. We also got to remember this was an industrial site that had heavy traffic. But I believe that the loading area is well into the site.
And there's an access off Lydia, though, you said?
Yes, because you come down Lydia, then you go along an access and then in. There may be an image which maybe shows us.
I couldn't see that.
And
will that be limited to certain weight vehicles, or will any size vehicles be accessing that?
Well, it'll be limited. I guess it'll be limited. It's limited to the direction in which they come in. Okay, so they're limited, but they must come in this way, and they have to exit via Lydia.
Right. Okay. And do you know how many people use that pedestrian crossing at the moment? Are there number counts of how many pedestrians are there of a, say, school time or something like that?
No, I don't know. We may do, but I don't know.
Okay, thanks.
When St. Bede's comes out, the students struggle to fit on the existing.
Yeah, I thought it'd be considerable. Yeah.
Any other questions?
Yeah, that's fine, if I may. I just want to get a grasp of chronology. How long ago was the resource consent notified, discussed?
Possibly 2018. Probably consented 2019. It took a wee while to start to, start digging up the ground.
Right. So it hinges off of Victoria's, the question about Marion College. There are some things in the neighbourhood that have changed since 2018.
Yes.
And there are, in fact, though any new residents there don't have an opportunity to engage with this issue, I don't think. So, put it on the table as to whether that's something we should discuss during the debate phase.
That's my understanding that the college has been there for a while.
Okay.
Or plans for the college.
Right. Good.
Yeah. So I was just going to check with you, Andy. So this has been through the resource consent process. The consent's been granted. The building's underway. It's happening.
Yeah. We just have to give
if we say no, they're not. If the council says no to this, they're not allowed to open it up and operate from the site, right? So our hands are kind of tied, really, aren't they?
It's so far down the track now, isn't it?
Well, I guess is that quirk of the process. You still need to approve, in order to give effect to the condition. So the board still needs to approve the changes to the road. So to some extent, you could decide not to support it. It'd be a pretty bad bit for council, because one part of council has gone through the whole process and granted consent to the landowner. And then if another part of the council says, no, we're not supporting the road changes, then it's councils, I can imagine Park and Save will take us to the highest court they can.
No, that's the exact answer I was after. Thank you, Victoria.
Yeah, so my question is, can you confirm that what we have in front of us is compliant with the conditions of the resource consent?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the other thing, another part of council has done the design as well. Council's done the design work on the road as well.
So we've had input to the design, yeah.
And I'm happy to second. We want some debate. Does anyone have anything to say? No? I just wanted to say that I am really pleased to see those changes at the QE2 Northcote intersection. At the moment, there's only the one crossing at the St Bede's corner. So seeing them on all four corners with the modified traffic pedestrian refuge islands is great. And I also do want to make comment. I read the resource consent decision when it came through, and from memory, I believe there was a group of residents who did have input and were heard during that process. Simon, I know you read it too. Yeah. So I just want to reiterate that residents have had their say in this process. So it's not like it's, even though it's different from our normal process where they come and submit to us, they have still had that chance. Any other debate?
Could I just say one other thing on that? I think that what's important, and we've seen this in our area as well, because of the increase in traffic, that there has to be monitoring of the site and there has to be enforcement. We're just seeing so much red light running and dangerous driving that's completely out of our control, that I'm hoping that there's going to be some early monitoring of how this works once it's implemented, and that there is police enforcement in the area, because there's a lot of kids that use this intersection.
Right, anyone else?
So I will just close the debate, seeing as on there, there's no one else. Just building on this point around pedestrian safety in particular at the Northcote Q2 Main North intersection, I agree with the improvements to the pedestrian crossings and to those islands. For members who aren't aware, or members of the public, if you drive up there, you'll see flowers on one of the traffic light poles. There's flowers on one of the traffic light poles there, which are acknowledging a young woman who passed away more than 10 years ago now. And you just want to acknowledge that when an event like that happens, it has a huge impact and an enduring impact. So anything we can do to improve safety, all for it.
That's great. Put that motion. All those in favour? Aye. It's carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 13, the response fund application. Yeah. Oh, sorry, I didn't mention that with the apology for Victoria's and apology for early departure. So we've got funding to cover the costs of community organisations and resident associations printing of newsletters. Any questions for Trevor? Emma?
Emma, you should sit there. Objectives, Sarah? No, I'm sorry, it's not, we're not allowed.
No, Emma's got a question though.
About the council.
I'm happy to move it.
And I've got a question.
Yes.
My understanding was why is this coming to the community board? Because it was my understanding that the council covers this anyway.
Yes, the council gives money to the community board through our manager capacity fund. They're available for this. With the changes in the board boundaries, we will not have enough money to continue this, and this is an interim funding to allow the existing groups that come to us having to have their funding done, and while we follow work with the organisations to get them to include their costs in their next Strengthening Communities application.
So nothing has actually changed. So this money has always come from community boards.
Do you want me to speak?
Yes, please.
When you see a budget for printing for residents associations, that was offered as a cost saving quite a few years back. So whilst we've tried to transition people into SCF, some managers have picked up the Strengthening Communities funding.
Oh, okay.
So some managers have picked up some of the costs internally off of their budgets. I don't have the money to be able to pick this up. So whilst Trevor and Stacey work with the groups to include this in the SCF funding, we're bringing in an interim measure. This will align with other groups who have applied to the Strengthening Communities Fund for funding of their newsletters. So everyone will realign when the Strengthening Communities comes through. Any unspent monies from this will be returned to the discretionary money.
Any other questions? No,
I don't fully understand still.
Are we just moving chairs around? Is that kind of how it is? But funding.
No,
We're providing a chair.
Yeah, right.
So the council used to fund it,
You can see that, Ali.
and then they cut it, and community boards are expected to pick up the cost.
It was an annual plan decision a few years
just straight after COVID.
Oh, I remember that actually. Yeah. So, yeah, you could put it in part of your board submission to request that we cover it again. Sorry.
You shouldn't be keen for that because the community groups will include it in the strengthening communities communication.
So really, it's more money coming out of the bucket.
As an interim measure.
Yeah.
So the council's taken it off their shoulders and put it onto the community board's shoulders.
Just a little bit of it.
Only in this interim period.
I understand that, but we only have a certain amount in our bucket, whereas, you know, the council's bucket seems to have a lot more. And
I think it's a valid point.
Any more questions for staff? No. Ali has moved it. Sunita, you were seconding it. Right, we'll put that motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
No.
No, Emma's voted against. Note that, Emma.
Thank you.
The next discretionary application is the Ron Proctor Environmental Award Trust. Stacey, did you want to speak to this?
So this is in partnership or in support with Rotary. So some of you might know Dennis McMurtry, who has done as a kaitiaki or the guardian of Papanui Bush. And this application is obviously the Papanui Bush is a council asset. They're willing to fund half and they're coming to council to look at funding for the rest.
Got a question if I may?
Yes, go ahead, Pauline.
I don't think my microphone's working. These are really quite cheap bridges and pathways.
Yeah, the quote is from Recreation Services that council uses anyway, and I think the parks team recommended them, and I think the back service is doing it at a good price.
That's very good. And they're going in just up here in the...
Yeah, so it's going to link where the Braintree kind of building is, to the seating areas. So with the hope that people, when the cancer's building opens, they can come and use the bush and enjoy the planting and the space there.
So I've got my question, it's a little bit off beam, but it's kind of related. But remember when Anthony Sheffield came and presented to us last year, and they're looking for a couple of bridges on the sticks, and the sticks, you might know where they are.
Yes, it's no longer in our board area.
Right.
They were after the walkway just north of the Styx Bridge through that stormwater.
Right. Okay, so that's not relevant.
It's not in our area.
Oh, that's good, thank you.
I'm happy to move this too.
Oh, you jumped in before I could.
Oh, no, you do because you're on the green. Yeah.
I was going to propose we increase it to 7,000.
That's why?
The amount of work that Rotary have done already in the area. I think we've got the funds there. I think this is a very worthy project. It's a permanent project. Well, it's going to have a long lifespan. I think it's going to get a lot of use with those new buildings going in the area there. And I think it would be fitting for our board to up it to 7,000.
I'd be happy with that.
Yeah.
I'll second that.
Yeah, so I'm second to that. Right, so Ellie, so you've moved it, so if you're happy to change it, you can. Yep. So Ellie and Simon, any debate on that one? No. Simon?
Yeah, just really quickly, I just want to acknowledge there's an enormous amount of volunteer hours put into that Papanui Bush area. And I think it's great for the board to contribute to this particular project. The establishment of the bush plantings there happened before either Braintree or Cancer Society were consented. But for them to come along now too, it's tremendous synergy, and I think it's fantastic value for money in terms of the positive impact it can have in the community.
Yeah, and I'll just add one more thing in my debate. It's a much needed green space in Papanui, so I think adding that pathway should attract more people to it. Anyone else? No? Okay, we'll put that motion. All those in favour? Aye. That's carried. Thank you, Stacey. Item 15 is the report of the electoral officer. Pauline's moved. Sunita's seconded. Put that motion. All those in favour? Aye. That's carried. Item 16 is our area report for March. I'll take the report and read.
Senior one.
Was there anything you wanted to highlight or speak to?
Can you just give us a minute to scroll through?
I've just got a quick one.
Yeah, we'll just see if there's anything staff wanted to speak
Oh,
to.
sorry,
first.
sorry, okay.
We'll go to questions.
Just unfortunately, Children's Day was
Oh,
cancelled just because of
yeah.
the weather. Yeah, and yeah, that was really, it was a really hard call for staff to make, but the weather on Sunday was dismal, so was the right
Sure was.
Pauline.
Yeah, just a question on page 67 in the Phillipstown Community Centre Charitable Trust and the award that they won. Or what did they win? They won a prize, yeah. So the last line, one prize was a $500 voucher for Nevo Business as they only operate in Auckland, Hamilton, Running the hub gifted to the. So what is that? How relevant is that? Is that just an aside that an organisation in the North Island gave money to budget?
Well, no, Phillipstown have gifted the prize to a North Island organisation.
That way round.
Yeah, there was, just because it was the logistics and it was, Viviana made the call to do that.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Thank you. I thought that's what it meant, but I thought, why would you do that?
So was that part of their prize? This is one prize, was it?
Oh, so what was the rest of the prize? Do you know?
No, but I can.
Was it like all money or?
Prizes, and I think just the recognition of being a really the recognition of their efforts to recycle and.
Oh, yeah, fantastic that they got it sounds like it's a national prize, so that's amazing. I think we should write them a little letter of congratulations. But I'd just be interested in see what the rest of the prize was if they gave them $500.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Emma, you had something more come to Ellie.
Okay, so just a question around the grant to the Anna Lee dance student. $300.
What paragraph number are you looking at?
So it's in the items. It's page 65. The it was approved under delegation.
3.5 community funding summit.
Yeah, community funding. Just wondering about the fact that it's a business. That's all.
Well, I can't talk for Helen, but I will talk. It may be a business, but it's a dance studio. Children go there, they access it.
And pay through a lot.
So do schools though, Emma, and they still apply.
Is it to the studio or to the children? It's to the children.
Schools are not a business.
Yes,
It'll be funding.
It'll be funding young people to go to.
It's not funding the students.
It's the same as if we fund a sports club for young people going on a sports trip.
Yeah, for the children's costs, not for the students.
Because it's a youth fund, so if Bob wanted to get something to Dunedin with the Western, he comes to us for a youth grant. We give Bob his money under delegation so he can go with the Western.
And if Bob wants to go and do dance, he can come to us for a hand for the money. Thank you.
So I think that the dance school would have been applying on behalf of the students, like we get schools doing, like we get sports clubs doing. Yeah.
Well, then, perhaps that should be put there because, hold on, maybe attachment C's got it.
We go page 100.
Because
page 100 of your agenda, Emma.
Voluntary. Sorry?
Up on the screen here, page 100 of your agenda. Well, Danielle Cowlishaw West to attend Hip Hop International.
Okay. In fact, I think we've funded them before, haven't we, in the same way?
Ellie.
Really disappointed that, and it's not your fault at all, but there is nothing that I have seen that the City Council did for International Women's Day. I was absolutely gobsmacked when you look at the history, as far as politicians go and so forth. I didn't see anything anywhere.
It's just to note, if anything did go on in our area report, it wouldn't be in this report.
No, but I noticed that, for example, it mentions International Women's Day and has a link.
I'm just noting if anything went on, which it was yesterday.
Yeah.
That would
be
in the next one.
Area report.
Okay.
I can't comment if they did or didn't. I'm just saying it would.
I understand. I didn't understand what you were saying, Emma. Okay. Okay. Well, we've got International Women's Day in there. I just would have thought that if the council was doing something.
It's in the upcoming section and it links to something that's happening at Te Ranga.
Yeah, I know, but it's not the city council. It's Humans for Te Tahi, which is a different organisation, I understand. But I just wanted it noted because I think it's really disappointing. It's a significant day and there's a very strong history in Christchurch, particularly with women's suffrage and the suffragettes and yeah.
I just wanted to mention under public participation at 3.8.2, we had at our last meeting, Dave Gardner present concerns with respect to the cycle safety on the shed park along Cranford Street. Yesterday, the part of the fence came down, so something has been done about that. So just wanted to give that.
Oh, between Waitoma and the. Oh, great.
Yeah, anything else? Emma?
Yeah, so just wondering how the voting bins trials went at the community centres.
Yeah, good. There weren't huge numbers, but I was actually Community Trust at midday to pick them up, and yeah, there were people putting their votes in at the last minute, which was great. I tried to get somebody to take somebody home to get your votes, so they're like, no. I tried. So yeah, I think the numbers weren't huge, but I think the opportunity to have them in the community was a good trial, a good pilot.
Will we get those numbers eventually though?
We can ask Joe Daly, who's the election.
It's a trial, you need data.
Yeah, for the data.
And what's next?
It's up to the elections.
Yeah, she'll do an inquiry into it.
Just out of interest in terms of dealing with ballot boxes, who is allowed to deal with them? Is it just any member of CCC staff?
We had to sign a form. We had to do a declaration and mark as a JP or
right. Okay. Just checking.
No, and there were certain things that you weren't allowed to. You couldn't pick the things and go out shopping and then drop it off. And no, you had to go from A to B.
Yeah. No, that makes good sense.
We also had them padlocked.
Yeah.
So the bins couldn't go away, and they had to when they were only set out at the times that the centres were manned. And then had to be put away outside of those times.
Yeah, sweet. No, that's a question answered.
More questions? No? Okay, well, we need to move that report. John, you hand up first. Pauline, seconding. Put that motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
That's carried. And then finally, our elected members information exchange. Jake, you're first, then Pauline.
I think I had my hand up second, but that's okay.
I looked up and now.
No, what? Dudley Street and the Starlings. There would have been you would have seen some correspondence come in. I'm trying to remember where we got to. I think the last email was from you, Mark Parks, essentially said, not a problem for us, not our expertise, which is totally fine. But I think the answer then is, well, is there anyone within council that does have responsibility like transport? Did we chase up with them as well?
Yeah, we'll put transport a lead in because it's really in their space, so they're in charge of the maintenance of that area.
Yeah.
So I'll be getting a briefing after this about, managers, but and as part of that original memo that went out, it was really a thorough, comprehensive response of not just looking at one area of council to get an answer. So parks were consulted at that time, environmental health were consulted at that time, transport were consulted. It was really layering up to get a comprehensive organisational response to get to that conclusion that council is not legally responsible, but they are working in that maintenance space. I mean, equally, the opinion of officers was that there's no particular agency responsible. I know there was discussion at the time of writing to ECAN. The opinion of the residents were invited to do that, but the opinion of officers was that there's no particular agency responsible. Might be a bit different if it wasn't a clear pest. But there is, some expertise in parks about birds, but it's just that's a very different lens really to be looking at birds in a pest manner in this context. So it would be more of an independent consultant that
be.
And we certainly wouldn't want to accept any responsibility. And I think the community are just really looking for a token gesture to help. They just feel like they've had to take on such a big and complex topic out of the blue, and anything we could do to.
But it's on the schedule, the clean-up schedule, isn't it?
Well, but it hasn't been delivered on. It was said.
So that's the,
Yeah.
that's the question.
Mark has been chasing up
That's
that
one of the
with
questions.
the maintenance team about that, what's meant to be the 2 weekly scrub. But yeah, as Jake says, that's only
part.
Yes.
They see that as an unideal solution. Even if we were to do that, they would still say, look, is there a way to get rid of the birds? I'm not sure whether there is.
I didn't know that.
themselves?
Yeah.
I thought it came back to us that the answer was to increase the maintenance, and it was going to be a 2, and that's unless there's something else happened while I wasn't here.
Just nothing happened since then. Well, I mean,
Mark,
it happened. Right,
Mark
okay,
and
fair
Stacey
enough.
and I met with David Duffy, who the residents group has, is working on behalf of the Dudley Street residents, as you guys know.
Yeah.
We talked with him about how the board would support them in the research and the avenues that they're looking at going down, whether they make an application for funding to us to do whatever they've decided is the best solution. So there are things we are doing our best, our team especially is doing what they can to support, and having the Residents Association behind them, I think, is helping.
Perfect.
And we have been told it is on that 2-week schedule, so that's what we get told by staff. I know there's some discrepancy with residents, but we're getting a brief.
If that's the advice you've received, that's the advice you've received.
And it has been cleaned. I think there's at least been photos of it haven't been cleaned, but that's something that we're in the middle of in terms of.
No, I'm happy with that. I mean, I'll push transport as well, just cause, but I'm happy with
Yeah,
that.
but no, it certainly hasn't dropped off the radar or anything. So.
But there does need to be an element of self-help. That's the way we're sort of pushed, because council can't accept
I know.
responsibility. I mean, that would be an extra level of service I would give. So there's an element of self-help, but anything that council can do. I mean, 2 weekly scrub is on the same as the open air pedestrian malls like Brighton and Bishopdale. So it's quite elevated for a normal street to be on that. So it's actually getting taken really seriously by council.
Cool. Thanks, Mark.
Ellie, is that the same?
Yeah, I just want to ask, because I didn't follow that. So has it been cleaned or it hasn't?
It is being cleaned every 2 weeks.
Thank you. That's all right. I just didn't quite follow what you said. But Jake's saying
The one member of the community has said that that hasn't been delivered upon. Whether that was true then and it's not true now, or whether it was never true, I don't know. But it sounds like the commitment we've had from the organisation.
When I heard that from that resident, Mark chased it up.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what these things are like.
Yeah. No. I understand that now.
And any update? The second one was the traffic light phasing on Fitzgerald.
Hold on, sorry, can we just go back to the just got a question on, well, not a question, but again, it is something that we should really be pushing, because the situation is not going to get better, it's going to get worse as all this down. And there's going to be other streets that the same problem will start happening to as the large trees are disappearing. So, yeah, it is something the council's going to have to take on. And
I'm happy to work with you guys offline, and if we don't see progress, I'll bring it up at the next forum. But I'm happy with that answer.
Okay.
So the Fitzgerald.
Yes, I mentioned it was already in the system as an action because it was LCH. Step on, at the risk of doubling up, making sure it was in an action from the next time. I think I could see in the background that there'd been maybe some staff movements or something, but it's definitely in there to be looking at. Yeah.
Cool. Sweet. I mean, I'll just continue to ask every time, but I'm not, thanks for that. That's it from me.
Pauline.
I've got 2 tree ones. So one of them is 77 Severn Street, when we had the site visit last year. And for central people, there's the residents down that end, which is near the Innes Road end.
One resident.
Well,
it was one resident who
met us on site.
Yeah.
There are a couple there. So anyway, no, but what he wants is for council to admit that there is a problem there, which he believes we haven't done yet. These are oak trees, and the piles of leaves are such a challenge, and they blow into the yards of the houses. And he says there's far too many for him to put into a screen bin. This is in the autumn. So, but what he wants is an acknowledgement there's a problem. He would like 2 jumbo green bins on the street for the residents to sweep up the leaves themselves and put them in there. And we've been told that's not really on because people will put rubbish and stuff in there, but I think there could be a way around that, and I'd like to get staff advice on how we could put some secure bins where only 1 or 2 residents have a key to it. There would be a cost to that. We need to find that out. And he would also like to see a work program looking at the pollarding of the trees, because he believes that when they were planted, they were supposed to be pollarded. Now, they are very intensely interwound. And I know that there was talk of Orion coming on board and maybe doing some pruning because they are in the lines, but where are we with that? So basically, I'm not trying to make a solution here, but we've got options, and I think we need to let him know that we are trying to do something and that we hear him and them, because he did mention another couple of people in the street too. So that was one. So can we?
Yeah, I can put through an action on that front. I mean, I've just come back to today to this and trying to pick it up.
Yeah.
I've logged
Sorry, Mark.
logged a ticket on his behalf, and it's really important to things like that. That I think a bit of time's gone by. If he's originally lodged a ticket, it doesn't hurt for them to go through customer service requests and go through that process. So I can ask for an update on what's happening with those Severn Street trees, and just on the staff to advise on the viability of those bins. I mean, it's not going to be unique for people to have leaves to pick up. So, I mean, it's sort of the levels of service sort of question as to where we're going with
That's right. But then if you have got a community saying that they will pick them up and in a flood prone area, I think that's something that could be quite helpful to us as well.
And rewarding for them. I mean, a quick and dirty solution could even be something as simple as buying a couple of bins from storage box with the green lids on, and then obviously having a chain and a padlock from a DRE. Just thinking out loud.
It'd be on the council collection schedule, wouldn't it? Oh, you mean?
I mean, you'd private. You could essentially do the whole chain privately.
Yeah, I mean, that's an option too.
We're having the maintenance manager come after this meeting. Maybe that's something.
So rather than just a flat no to that, could we look at maybe how we could enable that if that's what he's wanting to do?
Yeah, and I had understood the advice at the site visit to be that pollarding, it's really not great for, well, this is my understanding, not great for the health of the trees, just not how we treat them. And I know that his primary issue is shading, my understanding, and so that's really what it's going to come back to is a harsh trim of those, and that hadn't been consistent in my understanding with the arborist advice as to what's healthy for those trees.
Yeah, but in all fairness, Mark, we haven't had an official response from the arborist, so maybe we need that as well. Because trees do have to be trimmed, and they have to be trimmed away from the power lines regularly, so trimming is not out of the question.
I know at that point when we had that street meeting, the arborist was waiting on Orion because they were 100% confident that Orion was going to come and say they needed to do some work on those trees.
Yes.
So we just need to check with that.
We do. So if we get some urgent response there, because it's getting quite convoluted now. Yes, there's the leaves, there's the shading that we may or may not be able to do anything about. There's the power lines, there's Orion, and there's us. So, and the other one is a lady from the, I can't remember the number of Barbados Street. So it's the north end of St Albans Park, where all the rows of the oak trees along there. And then there's oak trees, fence, and then all those units, the elderly units. Yeah. Now, we've had that come to the board a few times before, but she's had Duncan Webb out there visiting as well and complaining to him. But the trees are overhanging the very roofs.
Yeah.
So can we just get some advice on whether they could be?
I've been talking to staff today about that actually.
Oh, wow, you're onto it.
Yep, and the arborist has even been out there today and inspected that.
Wow.
So the complexity, so I've just got it verbally, but I think the thing is that the contractor for the arborist is not recommending pruning. So but they're getting some more advice on how the renewal program is going. It's going to be, they're going to be in decline. So the staff are working on it in the background, but I can get this book more in writing with the relevant staff. but they have looked at it today and made their recommendations. So it's not the information I'm giving is that they're not recommending pruning for particular reasons. It's sort of been attended to in a relatively recent period. So I'll try and just get that in writing, so it's better than me trying to.
Okay, that's good. Well, she thinks that they have not been attended to at all, and Treaty's only doing the ones on Barbados and around the park, but not those ones along the edge, the north edge there. So I don't know. Once again, conflicting information. But I know you can't really prune oak trees because they just buff out worse. So they're a problem. But she's saying, well, they're elderly people in there now, and they get fallen leaves and they're dangerous. They slip on them.
That's why I think that's part of why it's sort of got looked at so quickly, is that I ventured to interpret that as being a bit of a safety issue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I look forward to your reply. And will you reply to her, or do you want me to?
Either or touch base as to what this kind of contact is.
I think we've only got a phone number, haven't we?
Yeah, that's right.
That's right, we can work it out between you. Yeah.
Thank you, that's me.
Ellie.
There's a lot of spray marking on the roads around Rutland Street, Gossett, Jacob, Carrington, Westminster. Courtney's got it too. Do we have any idea what's going on?
We have been asking for it.
Yeah, and some of the spraying is quite recent. They seem to be showing which bits of pavement is going to be replaced, where there's been new pavement go down, but then a bit of old pavement. And yet the pavement across the road from there is so lichen heavy and damaged, and there's no marking around that at all. So I'm just trying to work out what's going on.
Yeah, thank you.
I will just note that on my street, it was over a year, I think, between when the paint went down on the footpath and I've got done.
Right. Okay. Let's
something anecdotal for you there, but we'll find out.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Yeah.
Go on.
I had some. These sort of fall. Do I need that on? I don't like it. These fall under the ambit of sort of.
Because the live stream can hear you.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
It's very sensitive, so it'll pick it up if you're speaking at a normal volume.
Great, no worries. The sort of aged items that predate this board and therefore predate me a little bit. One of them is the Doris Lusk Reserve in the inner city east. There were plans afoot for a sculpture, an interactive sculpture, piece of play equipment to be built there a long time ago. And I just want to either resurrect it or ensure it's still on the radar, because no one in the community seems to know where it's at, including myself. So I seek some
It's part of
guidance.
the master plan, wasn't it?
Oh, it's been on the books here since I can remember.
I'll follow that up.
Where is the
Okay,
Doris?
thanks.
Where's that reserve?
It's located next to the East Side Gallery.
Oh, yes,
Community Arts Centre.
Yeah.
Piece of grass in there. Yeah.
So what was it called? Doris
Doris Glass. That's the part.
Yeah, LUSK.
As an artist, that's about 2 years behind schedule actually. That one. So we're following up.
And was the
Operator.
council going to commission it and fund it?
Done.
Community board.
Yeah, I believe so. Yes.
Do you have
Yeah.
any idea what the budget was?
I can't remember off the top of my head, but we got the design. It was
Oh, really?
yeah, the money was part of
It's all designed and everything.
design, paid for. It was just the installation that was delayed. So yeah,
Where is it?
I don't know.
That's the question. Yeah, I guess forgotten, fallen under the rug somewhere.
Oh, cool.
Similar under the ambit of similar things. This goes back indeed to the when we looked at Central Community Board, is the Hereford Street block between Fitzgerald Ave and Stanmore Road. I presented as a civilian to that community board in August and also in February prior to that, and put in the ticket about 6 months prior to that.
Conflict of interest.
Is it? Yeah. On behalf of the community, we want it. It was a terrible decision on the road chip used, and we don't like it. It's rough, and it was going bald and stones flying everywhere. But we were going to get a redo by Christmas, so we thought happy with that. It's great. However, it hasn't happened, so I want to
give them a rack up after that.
Revive that.
I think I understand that's happening in April, but there might be a certain maintenance manager turning up just after this.
Yeah. Great timing. Thank you.
Are you going to do all of these?
No. I've already we're just saving some for next time. A similar thing. We just want a resident has a good plan, in my view, for the part of red zone between Fitz Ave and Gloucester Street and has concerns about the commercial farming activities going in there. And there's been correspondence, and we've been trying to just get in contact with the appropriate department at council. Again, this goes back to this board, but I want to bring that back into the viewfinder of what we're doing.
Add it to the list.
Add it to the list, yeah.
So sorry, Don, you're just wanting to connect up people with the relevant part of council in respect of management of the zone around.
Yeah, a particular section of the red zone.
Between Fitzgerald and Gloucester Street, is that following the river around?
Yep, follows the river.
All the way to Gloucester.
Would it be a
Commercial activity going on?
Yes, leases to Tunnel House activities.
So is that just me getting the relevant contact member and staff to talk to relevant residents? Is that
correct? Correct. Shall I write to you with
that'd be great.
Some attachments?
Yeah, you give Mark some more info, he can.
Great, thank you, Living Rope. So, and just one final thing from my list, actually there's two, but I'll keep it to one. That is that there are a number of spots in Central where there's one house in a given neighbourhood or street destroys the lifestyle of everyone else because of criminal activities, roaring around, dealing, burnouts, and lots of loud music and all sorts of other things. So there's one example of this. Sorry,
all the fun stuff.
All the fun stuff, yeah. And people are getting, there are three examples of this, and people are getting to their wits' end. So Jake and Sunita and I have been doing some work in the background. We're going to meet with a particular set of residents shortly, as soon as possible. And we're beginning to engage with police and other agencies on the matter, but we might need our backs from, some council levers also on this.
Can I just ask, I don't think there are any council levers in that. I think that's a complete police matter.
Engagement team would help you.
The noise, parking, rubbish waste. I would hope there'll be a few levers for what there were.
We've had issues with a couple of houses in St Albans, and unless it's uninhabitable and unsanitary.
We'll be really measured about setting expectations, but really all I can think of is I've pre-warned staff that if residents on that street come to us with enforcement issues, like parking or noise, please treat them seriously. It's part of it. Blitz.
So this is a house that is inhabited though, people living in it. Yeah, it's not an empty house.
No.
This was a house with people in there, and I remember we raised it with police, and it's just
the hardest thing.
That's their challenge. They really want some action, indeed.
Okay, thank you, John.
Yeah, it's more
Anyone else? Emma?
Just on the public forum there, it just like the cut-off just feels really rude when they just cut and that's it. There's no forum. What's that?
That's public.
I just saw them go to at least 7 or 8 minutes, and they.
I'm not saying it is here. I know that, but there's nothing. My point was there's nothing in front of. I mean, it's quite often daunting, and and people get all caught up in what they're talking about and things. There's nothing around pointing out the time.
Okay, what I can do next time is I'll give them a warning when they've got 1 minute left.
That's what Dawn started.
Mark was hesitant to do the clock because it has the associated noise with the alarm, which would go on the live stream, and because it runs through.
So Dawn's doing that at council now.
I'll just let them know when they've got 1 minute.
Yeah.
Mark,
there is a way to stop that alarm.
We just had one at council.
I can turn the sound off. It's just in this context, like running for the video, and I have given feedback that it would be great to have an alternative solution because this is a problem. So
it's like a stopwatch. If we could put it like a stopwatch, so it will just count backwards.
Yeah, just to give them a warning that they're going to be.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't.
You can test it.
Yeah.
You need a bell.
Ding, bell.
And of course, my other one is the top of Cranford Street. Can we find out actually how often that is maintained? It's just hideous, and it just gets worse every week.
What, the surface or?
No, it's the weeds and rubbish, and I mean the same rubbish has been there for how long have I been going on about it? A year.
Is this the one with the
still
boots?
there? Gummies. Has anyone seen it yet?
I've been looking and haven't been able to spot.
Oh, I might have to take you on a.
Is
At the roundabout.
Find out what the maintenance.
You're coming, it's when you're coming around the roundabout onto Cranford Street. And
Or
it's-
going the other way off Cranford and turning left towards Main North Road. So that whole strip along there is really bad as well.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Too busy driving to look at that.
No, it's really like, yeah, for the entrance into the city, entrance into our ward, it's just, it just looks, and it's brand new, and it just looks disgraceful.
The area around the QE2 roundabouts is just as bad.
Yeah.
So it's obviously it'll be on the same maintenance.
And there are
It
three
could have
road
something to do with
corners.
this, because it could have something to do with the fact that it's still in NZTA's hands.
I could check into that.
Yeah.
And please do keep putting on customer service requests. I mean, because that's some of the feedback. So if I can say that, well, the borders, these are the numbers, the ticket numbers, then that helps bolster the case. I mean, it's in there, that the book was in there as an action. So hopefully that's moving forward, but yeah.
We'll find out what that schedule is.
Yep.
I had one thing today that Simon and I had a meeting a couple of weeks ago with one of the local community policing team members from Phillipstown. Just kind of Simon got his number and thought we'd get a shoe in the door that way to the police. And he has passed our details on to Roy Appley, who knows that we would like a briefing or something from him. So that is in progress in train.
Just on that, I've been watching the cars using the bus lanes on Cranford Street, and I reckon they could probably get 10 cars per, we could make some really good ping. Because you could get 10 cars per set of lights that are illegally coming up the lane during 4 to 6. So, we need some extra money. Sit someone there with a camera and, because it's just constant. And so again, police.
It's not about revenue gathering, it's about abiding by the law so the traffic can move.
Okay, nothing else from anyone? No, okay, we'll close with our karakia. Kia paia, kia mama, kia ngākau, te tinana, te wairoa, te taratapata, koia rā i roro, whakaia ake ki roro, kia tina. I will close the meeting. Thank you very much.